What is going on, Outlaws? Death here, and today I want to break down what I believe to be the best ability cards in Red Dead Online. Now, there are some that I'm not going to talk about because those are very specific ability cards. There are ability cards that are used for one or two very specific functions, while the ability cards I'm going to talk about in this video not only are at the top of the game, but can be used for pretty much everything. So without further ado, let me explain to you how this long ass video is going to go down. We've broken things up into two categories: Deadeye ability cards and passive ability cards. For this, we've also decided to cover ability cards that function for everything, not very specific cards like, for example, Sharpshooter that only works when you're scoped in. Now let's kick things off with Deadeye ability cards. We have Slow and Steady. While Deadeye is active, you take less damage and headshots do not kill you outright. Taking damage will drain Deadeye and you cannot run or sprint. Currently one of the top ability cards in the game for both PvP and PvE. The reason this ability card is so good is because it will allow you to pretty much become a tank. It's the only ability card that will allow you to go into bounty hunting missions, story missions, by yourself and tank multiple shots without dying. And if it's backed up by ability card that heals you, you will be able to do these missions completely by yourself. Not only that, but in PvP it's also a beast, allowing you to tank a whole bunch of shots, and if you're a sniper you'll be able to take a lot of damage with this build. So overall it's a very strong ability card and I highly advise you go out of your way and get it. Then we have Quite an Inspiration. While Deadeye is active, you and your allies quickly regenerate health. If more than one member of your team has this ability active, the effect does not stack. The reason I find this ability card to be so good and highly overlooked is because if you're a slow type of player, if you like to hang back and kill your enemies little by little, if you're not running up in there taking a whole bunch of shots, this ability card is very good for you. You might take one shot while you take 3 or 4 enemies down in your own time, but you'll be able to heal yourself. On top of that, if you play with other people, you'll be able to heal them too, allowing you to actually support your friends. And if you're by yourself, as I said, it's also very good because you'll be able to heal yourself. So this ability card is highly overlooked. It's not as good for survivability as Slow and Steady, but it's also very good. We have Slippery Bastard. While Deadeye is active, enemies are significantly less accurate when shooting at you, and your accuracy is significantly reduced. The rate at which your Deadeye uses is increased. Now, this ability card, I don't really recommend it for PvE. I don't think it's worth it at all. I would rather you guys use it for PvP because it counters a lot of the ability cards that are very strong right now. For example, it counters Painted Black very well. It counters Slow and Steady for PvP content because it allows you to keep moving and enemies will have a hard time shooting at you, allowing you to get close whether you're using melee weapons or tomahawks, or you deactivate it right when you're on range and they're not aiming at you and you can blast them. Very strong for PvP. And the last card I want to talk about is Painted Black, otherwise known as PIB. While Deadeye is active, paint targets on enemies. Fire your weapons to shoot all marked targets. Each shot drains a very small amount of Deadeye. You cannot mark enemies or be marked while in defensive playstyle. Now, the reason this ability card is so good right now for both PvE and PvPs, as it says, you can mark targets. But what's interesting is that you can mark targets outside of your auto-focus range. So even if you can't auto-aim at a player because he's too far away, or at an animal, if you have Painted Black and you activate it and you pass your crosshairs by the target's head and then you shoot your weapon, you will always land a headshot even if they're moving after you've marked them. So for both PvP and PvE, is a very powerful card. Now that we've covered the 4 ability cards that I believe are necessary in Red Dead Online in 2020, let's talk about the passive ability cards. As we know, there is a lot of passive ability cards, and on top of that there's 3 different categories. We have combat ability cards, we have recovery ability cards, and defense ability cards. So it was very hard for me to narrow it down to the 2 or 3 ability cards per category that I'm about to show you. Nonetheless, let's kick things off with the combat abilities and winning streak. Each consecutive shot on the same target does more damage than the last. Damage bonus ends if the target is not shot for 10 seconds. This is a very solid card if you're looking to do more damage. It really adds an oomph to your hits, especially if you're using heavy hitting weapons, heavy rifles, and you're really going to enjoy this card. It's very, very good not only for damage, builds, but even for tank builds, seeing as you're very slow, especially if you're using, slow and steady, so you can't move a lot. And with this card, it will allow you to do more damage than your enemy, even if you're using the same gun and the same type of round. So overall, it's very, very good. Now let's talk about my next one. And this one you might agree or you might disagree. And it's Horseman. And the reason for this is because there's a lot of times where we are on our horse, especially if we're doing, missions like bounty hunting, or if we're going into a camp, or if we're even doing some story missions. There are times where we're able to do missions with our horse, and even when we're in the open world. And having a damage boost while on horseback is very, very good. Whether you like using your horse or not, you're gonna be using it for travel. If you're in the open world, you do not want to get griefed by players, and it does help to do more damage to NPCs as well. You'll be able to take them out with body shots sometime if you're hitting them hard enough with the right weapons. So overall, this is a very nice ability card. I know some of you might not like it because you'll say, well, and I'm not on a horse, what? You're right, when you're not on a horse, it will not work. But the fact is that a lot of the time we're on our horse, especially as we progress through the game and we level up. So this ability card right here is very, very useful. And if you're using a damage build, even better. Then we have Linde's Patience. Waiting up to 15 seconds between shots significantly increases your damage. And let me clarify something that a lot of people don't understand. Your damage increases as you wait, and it caps out at 15 seconds. So if you wait 10 seconds, you're still going to have a damage increase. But if you wait all 15 seconds, you're going to have an even bigger damage increase. So this one is very, very good for both PvE and PvP. If you're a player that takes things slow, you're going to take extra advantage of this because you're going to be able to wait all 15 seconds to get the max damage boost on Linde's Patience. Overall, making it a very, very good ability card. And if you're a sniper, this ability card with Sharpshooter, you might even be able to one-shot body shot people with the right sniper. So keep that in mind. A very good ability card, and overall a boss when it comes to damage boosting. Now let's talk about the recovery ability cards. Kicking things off with one of my personal favorites. I have used this card since the beta days. Eye for an eye. Killing an enemy with a headshot restores a lot of Deadeye. Now the reason I love this card is because I love headshots. I always go for headshots. That's the only thing you should do, whether you're playing PvP or PvE, headshots. Now, if someone is using certain builds on PvP, you might want to go for body shots, but you usually want to go for headshots. And if you're a lone player like I usually am, unless I'm chilling with you guys, I will usually land a lot of headshots on a lot of enemies. You've seen me on live stream, so you know I always keep my Deadeye up when I'm using this card. I never have to take tonics unless I really want to go try hard, but I never have to take, tonics. I refill my Deadeye not only with players, NPCs, but also animal headshots. So overall, it's a very good ability card to bring up your Deadeye and always keep it working. Even in the middle of a fight, you might be up against several players and it will bring it back up because you shot one in the head and you can just keep your Deadeye active. Then we have Strange Medicine, one of my other all-time favorites. I'm a very aggressive type of player. I love going in there just shooting everybody up. So you regain a lot of health whenever you inflict damage. Your health otherwise regenerates at half the normal rate. The reason I love this ability card is because I'm always in the heat of battle and I'm always inflicting damage. And there's been times when I've been so close to death, but I've managed to kill 2 or 3 enemies before I get shot again, and it keeps me alive long enough to take a tonic. So this ability card right here is so good for keeping you alive if you're an active player, because if not, there are other better options. But overall, as you're, leveling up, you need to kill a lot of things, you need to do a lot of missions. So Strange Medicine is one of the best ability cards. I'm over level 200 and I still use it often if I want to just hang out, kill things, and not worry about my health. Even if I want to do PvP, I always try to make sure that Strange Medicine is in my loadout. Now, the next thing, kick in the butt. Whenever you take damage, a large portion of it is added to your Deadeye. This card is very, very good if you're more of a player that happens to get shot more than you actually land shots. If you're that player that, you can kill people, but you usually get shot more, this ability card is very good for you because when you take damage, your Deadeye actually goes up. So it's kind of like eye for an eye, where you deal damage and you regenerate your Deadeye, but this one is when you take damage, you regenerate your Deadeye. So overall is very good. Two different play styles, but a very good ability card. I wanted to add it so those of you that play a little different had different options. Now let's take a look at what's up next. Last but not least, we're going to be talking about the defensive ability cards. And as you can see, I don't have many of them leveled up because there are some of them that I don't even like. I don't think it's worth leveling some of these up. But let's talk about the ones that are. Kicking things off with Fool Me Ones. You take much less damage each consecutive time you are shot. This effect ends if you are not shot for 10 seconds. Just to break it down and make it simple. If you are getting shot constantly, as we do in a lot of these PvE missions and bounties when you get to a camp, this ability card will make it so you take less damage with every single shot. So overall, it's a very, very good ability. It works well with tank builds, and overall, if you want to add survivability to your loadouts, I try to have this on almost every single one of my builds. Sometimes it's not necessary, but it does help a lot, giving you peace of mind knowing that you'll be able to tank a lot more shots than if you were without it. Up next, we have the Unblinking Eye. It's an incredible ability card for the simple reason that your Deadeye and Eagle Eye drain much slower. Now, what makes this so cool is that it also affects your Eagle Eye, which, as we know, it's super important in the game right now to find collectibles, follow tracks, and do all these different things that are currently in the game, and I'm pretty sure more are coming along the way. So overall, this is an incredible ability card. It does add about 3 seconds, maybe a little more, to your Deadeye, but the fact that it also helps your Eagle Eye is the reason why I love this card. And if you're new to Deadeye and you're still trying to learn it and master it, having a little extra time on it before it runs out is very, very good, and it's also one of the best cards to go with Slippery Bastard. Now, never without one is often seen as it's amazing or it's trash, but let's talk about it. Your hat will block one shot and then fall off. While wearing a hat, you take less damage. While not wearing a hat, you take more damage. Now, this is so good for me because I'm always on my horse, at least while I'm in the open world, hunting, doing missions, whatever. And while you're on your horse, you can put your hat back on even if it gets knocked off. So I always love that. On top of that, if you're wearing things like special outfits, there are times where even if they kill you and they knock your hat off, when you respawn, you might still have it. If you're using, like, for example, the Moonshiner outfit or the Bounty Hunter outfit, sometimes even if they knock your hat off, it will still be there when you respawn because it's a complete outfit. Sometimes it doesn't happen, but sometimes it does. And the ability to be able to put your hat back on while you're on your horse makes this ability really good for open world gameplay and PvE gameplay. For PvP and in a heated, moment, there might be better ones, but these ability cards that I just covered in this video are my favorite ones, are the ones that I think are the best, the most enjoyable cards, and after you've gotten these, you can go out of your way and get whatever the hell you want to get. Overall, all ability cards are useful for a very specific situation, so you can play the way you want. If I miss some ability cards that you enjoy, go ahead and let me know in the comment section below. And for those of you that are new to the channel that probably didn't make it to this part of the video because you probably backed out 2 minutes in, I don't usually make these long ass videos. It's like a 14-minute video right now, and I just really wanted to cover every single ability card in one video and give my reasonings as to why I like them. With that being said, if you want to hate on it and tell me, did you really have to make it 14 minutes long? Yes, I did. Check out my other content. It's not that long. I barely ever post 10-minute videos. But there are times when you need to take longer than 10 minutes to cover everything, and this is a long video covering a lot of ability cards. Now, with that being said, if you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe. If you've enjoyed this video, make sure to smash that like button. We have tons of videos for Red Dead and Red Dead Online, how to level up, role guides, how to get the things you want, the best horses in the game, all these things in the channel, so make sure to check it out if you haven't already. We also do live streams every day at 8 or 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, so come hang out. If you're on PS4, feel free to join. We'll farm it out and get our money. And for now, your boy Deathgun out.